Shalom, family. Glory be to God, and blessed be the Lamb. I don't know what that was. At any rate, glory be to God, and blessed be the Lamb. A young man asked me, and he wanted me to think about it before I answered. He said, "How does it feel to be you? To know that you have affected the 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 trajectory of the world itself, and how you move and you deal with world issues, and it's a lot goes into this, man." The short answer is no one's ever asked me that. And so I've been thinking for the last hour and a half, basically, as to how do I feel? And strangely enough, I don't know how I feel about being me, which I found weird. I So I'm not going to try to necessarily answer you, but rather to give you insight into how I think, or my thought process as to your question. Hopefully we can either build on that, and we'll both explore how I feel, because I do find it weird that I don't know how I feel about being me. I think it's because part of it is absolute humility. I would say that I don't have to really feel anything, because I'm already told how to feel or what I should feel in certain situations, and I don't question it. And then I have to ask myself, are you asking me? I mean, because really it's a deeper question than you think. There's a spiritual answer, there is a physical answer, it's a political answer, there's a sociological answer, and there's a psychological answer. And they won't always line up. In fact, at times it may seem as though they so don't line up that they may even seem to contradict each other. Sometimes that has been the case. So I have to look at the physical aspect of it first. Physically, what it means to be me physically on this planet, and to know that there's pretty much nothing out there besides God Himself that can stop me. That is what you're asking me. But sadly, I've never looked at it like that. When you hear me say that, it is because mankind is moving too damn slow and need to accept the new reality. And without hitting them in the face with it, trust me, they don't. They tend to drag their feet and think you'll have choices. And I'm saying it's time out. You're running out of time. If I'm here, that means you are about to die. It can't mean anything else. That's what that means. And then I ask myself, well, what what do I do about the situation? Because apparently no one else has the power to do it but me. Like I said, it's a many faceted question. Spiritually, I simply don't ask questions. I look at the rules, I look at the book, and if it's in the book, then that's what I do. How God feels about certain things, that's how I'm gonna feel about those things. Which 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 brings into question my autonomy, which I had never thought about. Am I autonomous, meaning standalone, and having feelings I'm starting to question that, all because of that question. In other words, am I free as an individual? Yes. I think it's more of a choice, and a choice made wholeheartedly, that whatever is there is what will be done without question. So once that decision has been made, then there's no need to actually feel anything. The scenarios that I found myself, be there locally or familiarly or internationally, having the ability or the willingness rather to harm someone who is powerful, I feel some way about that. But on the other side of that, I feel absolutely nothing, because every calculation has already been made. All of the possible responses, the possible the retaliatory strikes, possibilities after those possibilities, everything has been thought of before I do things like that. One would ask, am I benevolent or am I malevolent? Actually, I'm both. Benevolent meaning I love to help you. Malevolent meaning, but I will hurt you. That's the difference. The malevolence has a dark charisma about it. The malevolence is a righteous malevolence. It's only there because the world is largely malevolent. If the world was a kinder, gentler place, then it would not have any right to be in it. But the world ain't kinder and gentler. So we arrive here. Spiritually, I've already spoke on that. Intellectually, at some point of becoming me, you have to accept certain things right off the button, or else you won't even begin to understand. If you attempt to go beyond your own understanding, as when you keep asking questions, and the questions start to get simpler and simpler and simpler, and you still can't answer them, well, let's just say that you have reached the end of your intellectual capability. So you should just stop. So when I reached mine, and all of the questions had been asked, then there was no more argument to be had, at least not by me. That's how things are when you're me. You do all the calculations, you see all of the possibilities, and you either act or you don't act, and you choose how you act. Devil be damned. But again, there is a certain thought process involved. Man needs fear. He needs it. He doesn't much understand or respect from any other emotional standpoint except fear. So at some point it became necessary for me to instill fear, but that's not how it all started. It all started with, would you please listen? And then it became me screaming it. And then it became, okay, you need an example, obviously. And never understanding that at each of these moments, there's no fucking turning back from what you just done, no, and accepting it. So that would be the dark side of it. Decisions are made to either intervene or to not intervene, or to be quiet or to speak, because words have power. So there's a lot of things I simply don't speak on, although it's getting harder and harder to not speak on them. So eventually they will be spoke on. But I still haven't answered the fundamental question of how I feel about me being me. It's because I can't. To be straight with you, what do you mean by me? It's that complicated that I am comprised of 7 different spirits, but we are one with identical nature and identical power, all albeit different functions, maybe as you would think of it as a man, but not quite like that. So when you say me, realize that I'm sitting there scratching my head like, okay, how do I answer that? Not, I mean, it's not that the answer would actually change from one to the other. It wouldn't. But like I said, it's more complicated than one thinks. I don't sit around all day like folks would think, doing nothing or using TikTok or YouTube for nothing more than a tool. I'm searching for world information, world affairs, sociological movements, governmental functions and agendas on the street. I'm looking for all kinds of things in which I may lend my hand. And when you have decided, as me, that you're gonna be and do what you were intended to be and do, then that comes with consequences. And I still haven't fundamentally answered your question because it's something that, like I said earlier, I'm letting you hear how I'm thinking right now to even begin to answer your question. You would think that I would feel powerful in the flesh. I don't. I don't. The flesh is a whole different thing. The flesh and its emotional state really doesn't exist in that nature anymore like that because the love in me could not stomach some of the things that I have done and what I am capable of. So I think we got rid of it. These are things that just has to be done. It's not looked at from the standpoint of good or bad like that. No, this is what is written and this is what will be done, and then it's done. It's sort of in that order. There's not an ounce of emotional state involved in its final calculations. I mean, working up, to the final response, there may be some angst about what I'm about to do, but that would be with anyone who is in the flesh. You know that what you're going to do, listen, you are about to show them something very threatening, very dangerous, and make them feel very helpless against it. So I should be prepared for a counterstrike and what's going to happen after that counterstrike. And then after that counterstrike, and see, all that comes into the calculation. A value is actually like promulgated in that analysis. It's a value system. Is it worth it? Is it not? There's no thought of who it's going to hurt or how many are going to die like that. No, none of that comes into play like that. And I guess I've gotten rid of that because I didn't do it. I mean, I did do it, but I didn't do it. There's no way out of I've done it, but what I'm saying is that mankind has its own move to make, and the devil and the spiritual world have their own move to make. Rather, mankind recognizes his part in in that scenario is beyond us arguing anymore because there's just not any time left for any more arguments. All the arguments have been heard. There's no more time for arguments like that. It's just not. I wish there was, but the arguments went out in the 90s. The battle lines have been drawn deeply by the year 2005. There's no more room for arguments. The argument is over. They have chosen sides. And that forced me, not force me, yes it do, then I have to choose sides. They chose side, it was two sides, and I had to choose one or the other. It's a simple calculation. I mean, after that, who's wrong, who's right? Whoever is right, well then, they just earn themselves what they earn themselves. And I will be acting and speaking on their behalf. Simple as that. It's not really something that I spend a lot of time second guessing, because once you make the decision, it is done. There's no, in fact, none of the audios that I've ever made have I ever went back and re-listened to. Why? Because I already know that everything that I said, if these positions and these scenarios were to show up in my life, I'm going to say the exact same thing. I'm not like I'm going to switch over or have a different conclusion, have a different argument. You will never catch me saying something in the future disagreeing with any audio that I have made, and I've made about 300. They scattered, but a lot. They'll always come down to the same thing. I think we get into why I don't really have to feel. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's the outside of the flesh me. There's no need for it to feel anything. And if it does feel, it's one or the other. It's either love or rage. It's never sadness. It's never happiness, love, or rage. Respect or either disrespect. I mean, as an action verb. So, to be good or to deliver upon them an evil. They would say that I'm evil, but that's because they have misunderstood evil. Evil is an action. Evil is its own entity. So you'll hear God say things that I will send unto you a great evil. He will say he was sending a man. He said, I'm going to send unto you a great evil, because evil is an action. Man isn't, trust me, isn't capable of being truly evil. Trust me on this. I can be more evil than a man could ever imagine. Trust me on that too. And the catcher is wouldn't feel absolutely nothing. I would deny my right to feel anything. And I would justify it by saying, we all know they had it coming. We tried every way possible not to do this, and we still arrived. So I refuse to take any of the responsibility at all. Zero. Zilch. I don't deserve to feel sad. I don't deserve to be all emotional, because we have made a decision. When man knew that eventually one would be made, what's been screamed to the rooftop. So he's not blind. He knows what's going on, even if he refuses to say it. He knows what's going on. He's not confused. No one is at this late stage of the game. Trust me, at this point, nobody living or dead is confused anymore about anything as to who I am, what I am, and what I'm capable of. Now they know. And there ain't no going back. But how do I feel? Nothing. I think that I'm coming to the conclusion that, and I did this, emotions are dangerous. I think I made an audio, I'm sure I did, about this. emotions are dangerous. I wouldn't say to everybody, but for me at this level, they are dangerous. I can't afford to be sad. I can't afford to be truly enraged. See what I'm saying? I can't afford any of your emotions. They're dangerous for me to feel any of those ways being me, if you can understand what I'm saying. All of them represent a danger to me, not me as the flesh. And what I'm saying that your emotion corrupts how I would think. Your emotion corrupt how you think. So I know that they would also do the same to me. This is why I don't engage too much in flesh-like thinking or responses, because the lack of an emotional state, which is by choice, because I can't afford it, and neither can you. Neither one of us can afford to be emotional. Okay. About the only place that I'm emotional is in familial matters. And even that has its limitations. But I don't mind because I've gone strong enough to say that is that and this is this. I need to put that to the side while I go over here and think about World War III. That has no place in that emotional state or that thought process at all. So I'm strong enough to leave it over there, okay, and not let how I felt, damn, how I viewed rather, in that familial status, what I'm gonna do over here, or let it influence on anything else that I'm doing. I still don't know how I feel about being me. You know what? I don't think I feel anything about being me. I just be me. It's never, I mean, I think that maybe you think that I should feel like all powerful. Maybe you think I should feel like known, maybe, and I should be proud of that. Maybe I should be feeling pride, but I don't. Maybe I should be feeling some type of, I showed them. No, it's really none of that. It's never been that because I've never truly wanted to be me. It's something that I had. It's not like I had a choice, but understand, I never wanted to be me. You don't believe me? Ask the Father. He will. He will tell you I had put up a hellacious fight to not be me. A hell of a fight. I'm talking about it. It was so much of a fight. The angels were frustrated, and 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 God almost did everything but come himself. Okay? That's how thick the fight was. And that wasn't even against the bad guy. These were the good guys. Be- because immediately I knew what it would mean. I knew what it would mean. And I was right. I've been wrong in terms of not seeing things. But that's between me and him. The things I don't say, I mean I don't see, is because he doesn't want me to see him in that moment in time. At some future moment, I will. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. So I do very little thinking, like you would say, think. The words almost thought of for me. Everything I say, it comes from the heart and from the spirit. So there's no need for me to think like that. And I don't. I just act. These are the rules. These are the proclamations, are the declarations that's written. And if they call for certain things, then that's what is done. The last time that I felt anything, last time that I have felt anything was 2 summers ago. I won't go into the details, but I kept saying that if A keep happening, then B is gonna happen. B included a certain number of people dying of that group. And I said it out loud. Well, that was on a Friday night. By Sunday morning, something was wrong. I had never felt so much loathing, like a lead weight in your chest. It gets loathing. This loathing gets a little bit deeper than sadness. But I didn't have much to be sad about. I mean, the normal of in my life of going back and forth and trying to survive, and but that wasn't it. And then I recognized and realized what it was. They found me. I mean, I felt them. There's no other way of me putting it. I felt them. Victims of what you would think of as angelic retribution. The order was sent out. It was sent out angrily and fuck. I mean, in fact, I said something to the nature of fuck it. Give me X amount dead. By Sunday, it was done. So with power comes responsibility. You can't just use it one-tonally. It's a huge responsibility. But I still wouldn't feel the pressure of the responsibility that you feel because I am confident that I'm gonna always do the right thing. I'm confident in that I'm gonna do the right thing. So there's no need for me to second guess myself. There's no need for me to, do no analysis. If it is written, then it will be done. If he would hate you, then I hate you. If he would love you, then I love you. However he feels, I feel. Damn it, Father. Do I have any autonomy? This guy has made, we gonna talk. Wait a minute. You just wait 1 second. But do I have any autonomy to feel anything? Do I have a right to be autonomous in that nature, to be able to feel anything that my body or my mind or my flesh want to feel? The short answer is no. And the long answer is always no. I mean, it's also no because there's too much at stake. Too much at stake. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives are at stake. This is chess. Your moves must be made carefully with as least destruction and distress as possible. It's the only humane thing. So I guess that at the end of the day, as I further ponder that question, because I haven't given you an answer, but the preliminary answer would be using feel as an action verb. I don't feel. I don't feel. I don't dream. I don't have nightmares. Damn. Man, listen here, you are calling a lot of things into question here. Hell, you are calling a few things in, into question on a deeper level than you think. Question as to you. I mean, things that would make you go, hmm. But the short answer is I can't afford to feel right now. I can't afford it. There's too much at stake, too much to allow feelings on a human level to come into play at any stage of this. It's just not doable. Again, we think differently. Trust me, it's not doable. I have no real time to be with anyone except my people and those who have chosen God. If I had a wife, then that would be my wife. They take up more time than anything else in my life. I guess what I'm trying to say is until I can get back at you with a more decent or acceptable answer, because this is unacceptable. It's not acceptable at all. It's not an answer. It is a, it just gives you insight into the conundrum and thinking that you have put me in, sir. And for that, I thank you, though, because I had never contemplated how do I feel about it. Enjoy the rest of your news. This has been Source. We are seven. We are one.